Hey everyone, yeah, this is going to be the first real video in my video blog series. I guess the first thing I want to do is talk about, why I chose to do cross-country riding. It's not really mountain biking, it's just road riding for me, I guess. But, yeah, I'll save my whole backstory based on, my character and where I really come from for another longer interview. But I just want to briefly talk about, my history with biking and how I got to where I am. I guess it all started just back when I was a kid. I guess I've always had a bicycle since I was 6 years old. I can remember just riding a bicycle even when I first got my training wheels off. It's always been something that's been there for me to do, something to ride around. It never had a significant impact on my life though until about, I want to say 2012, right after high school. I remember that summer, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, not knowing, I guess I had so many different ideas on where I wanted to head in life, and then that combined with the stresses of family, and my family was kind of breaking apart at that time, and I just needed an outlet, something to do to get me away from, the stresses I faced at home. So I used to just get on my mountain bike. I had a mountain bike from Walmart, 24-inch wheels. It was a terrible bike to take on the roads, but yeah, it's all I had. So I used to just take it out and go ride for a couple miles every day. And then I think it was that summer, I just started riding tons and tons. And I remember riding from my house in Snydersville, Pennsylvania, all the way to the airport in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and I was 10 miles, and it took a little while just to get up to that point, being able to ride that far. But yeah, I started doing that every day. I think it came down to literally every day the summer of 2012. I was riding a bicycle across town, all the way across town. It was kind of amazing people, and at first I was amazing myself, but then I realized it was nothing for me to ride for 2 hours a day. It was a great stress reliever, but it wasn't I felt like I was doing anything cool or anything crazy. So I think it was towards the end of the summer of 2012 that I realized I could start pushing myself to go even farther, plan for a full day trip to ride even farther. And then stupidly one day, I think I was just talking to some of my friends, and I don't even remember how it came about, but I think somebody threw out the idea of riding across America, and for some reason that just stuck with me. And I'm not some professional rider. I wasn't raised on it. I don't have anyone in my family that's really that athletically inclined anyways. But something about it just felt like something that was obtainable, something I could do. I didn't see it as some great feat. I just saw it as just one task, something that I could accomplish, something that wouldn't be too extravagant, but I've kind of built it into something that's going to be extravagant. And I think it's kind of amazing some people around me, but I have plans even though I'm planning to ride across America, I already have dreams of riding across Canada or Europe, just going other places. That's something I could see myself doing. But yeah, that's me getting a little sidetracked with my own thoughts. After the summer of 2012, I was riding every day, and I think it was that September that I was telling my parents, I was just starting to float the idea around with them of riding across America, and I think they thought at first I was joking, but then that summer or that winter came around, and the idea really started to stick with me. I started talking about it obsessively. And it was just last summer that I was really pushing to get all this paperwork through to start my own nonprofit organization. And during that time, I was coming up with an actual game plan for how I was going to do it, how I was going to be able to manage riding that far, the supplies I need, and how I need to physically and mentally train myself to do something like that. I think it was at the start of last summer, summer 2013, I realized I was going to have to do consecutive trips where I just built myself up to ride farther and farther and alone, just to see if I could do it and see how, how I'd react under those situations. So I think, what did I start the summer off with? That spring I started off with a ride. What did I do? I rode from Vernon, New Jersey. I rode up northwest into New York. And I came west and then down south through Port Jervis all the way down Route 209. And that was like a 65-mile trip. And to do that one, I had my dad drive me there, drop me off. I think he followed me for 10 miles and then left me on my own to do the rest. And that trip, yeah, it was interesting. I had like one flat tire, but luckily I was near a bike shop, so I just paid the guy to do the tube for me so I didn't have to change the bike tire on the side of the road. And then, let's see, after that one, I realized, that was completely possible. I think I did that trip in 8 hours, and it only took me 8 hours because there was tons of uphill climbs that I hadn't foreseen myself doing. And then to add to that, I had the flat tire, and it was my first flat tire where I was stuck out there on my own, and I didn't know what I was doing. Let's see, the second trip I rode just from my house up north all the way to New York State, and then back down. That was an 80-mile trip, and that one really did only take me 8 hours. And I think by that point I realized a long-distance trip, a multi-day trip, was very feasible. So by the end of last summer, I had set up a trip where I had a friend with an aircraft who flew me all the way down to D.C., and I rode a bicycle from D.C. back up to the Poconos. That trip in itself was an amazing adventure. I got there around 8 o'clock in the morning, had to rebuild my bike because we had to disassemble it to put it into the aircraft. And then when I got there, we landed in College Park, Maryland. So from there I had to put my bike back together and then ride into the city so I could technically start my ride from the Lincoln Memorial. The only problem is when I got there, I almost became part of a car accident. I had a flat tire in the city. I had issues with my back brake. And then the first day still, once I started my ride around noon, I got caught up in a huge rainstorm at one part. I finally got through Baltimore. When I got up north through Baltimore, the chain broke on my bicycle, and I didn't have a tool. Actually, this tool right here, this is for disassembling the chain on a bicycle. I didn't have one of these. And I got screwed over the first night, so I had to sleep behind a gas station in Baltimore. That's something I do not recommend anybody doing. But the next morning I was able to walk to a bike shop. Guy was super nice, hooked me up, got my bike fixed, gave me that tool so I could fix it if it ever happens again, and he sent me on my way. And then the second day, after I had all those issues and I got everything fixed up again, the second day I think I did about 120 miles in one day. I was so amped. I had so much motivation that I was able to really actually complete the journey. And then, I covered a vast portion of the trip on the second day. And then the third day I had like 2 flats. I got a little lost. But I got all the way up north past Allentown. I was like 20 miles outside of Stroudsburg, outside of my home. And it was about 8 o'clock at night, and I got lost once more. This time I got lost on the east side of the river across from Easton. I think I was actually in New Jersey. Somehow I had ended up crossing over. I didn't even realize it. So that took me an hour or so just to find my way back across the river. Then it was after that I got caught out in another rainstorm. It was 10 o'clock at night. It was dark. I was on windy roads, and I figured, wasn't worth me being out there much longer. I had already done more than the distance I thought I would cover, and I, proved the points that I was trying to make to myself. So I ended up calling it a night from there, and my dad came and picked me up about 10 miles outside of Stroudsburg, and yeah, called that the end of the trip. But yeah, that was the last trip for last summer. And I think after that, I spent a lot of time just thinking, and like throughout this last winter here, I've just been thinking and thinking nonstop about, the different supplies, and like just every day I think about something new, something I'm gonna need for this trip. Just little things here or there, and I realize like all of this is gonna be possible, like possibly getting a support vehicle, having 2 people follow me to film and document all of it, uploading videos along the way, finding camping gear for myself if I get caught out during the night and don't have a place to stay, new inner tubes, bike parts, clothing, food, water. All of this is going to be possible. It's just stuff that I've thought of throughout, I guess you could say, the full last 2 years. I've realized like it's not going to be, completely unobtainable. Like I know where to get all these resources now. It's just a matter of being able to afford them and possibly finding a few people to give me some really big favors. But I know in the long run I'm going to be able to do this trip. So yeah, I guess that explains why I got to where I am now. Yeah, I think this trip is definitely going to be amazing. If it's anything like that 3-day trip from DC, I think I'm going to learn a lot about myself. Possibly the crew that's going to be with me is going to learn a lot about themselves. And I think everybody watching at home here is going to really learn a lot about me, and maybe, hopefully, if I make any kind of impact, it'll encourage other people to go out and try doing something amazing like this too. I know some of my mentors. Shout out to Steve Garufi. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel. I watch a lot of his videos, and his videos have been really important. They've really helped me kind of get a mental grasp of what I'm going to be encountering out there on the road. I've noticed that, like, just from watching all his videos, like, he's really prepared me and given me a little bit of insight here and there on, like, what I'm going to expect when I'm riding for, hours on end, almost 14, maybe even, like, 15, 16 hours a day, just non-stop physical stress, pedaling all day, going down the same monotonous roads, being on the side of traffic non-stop. Like, I think his videos have really helped me just figure out, like, how I'm going to motivate myself and, just to really take in the surroundings, because I think that's the most important thing when you're out there doing some kind of touring ride like this, is to just enjoy everything around you. You're out there to travel and explore, so the most important part really is to just look at the surroundings, like enjoy these different places, the landscapes, the people. You'll have tons of encounters with different kinds of people, and generally all of them are going to be friendly. They're going to be interesting people that you probably won't forget for a long time. And I know just from my first trip, like, there's people that I wish I could contact now and share with them, some of the rest of the experiences or some of the stories of what happened after I had met them, and, more of like what happened before I met them, stuff that I didn't tell them before. And like also to just take an opportunity to thank some of them for, some of the hospitality, the things some of them gave me like water, some of them gave me snacks, some of them just gave me simple directions or shortcuts to make my route shorter, stuff like that. People that just gave me helpful advice for the roads that I was coming up against. Really wish, some of those people I could get in contact with again just to thank them. But, yeah, it's amazing. Like, when you do a trip like this, it really is an adventure. It's a good old-fashioned adventure. You don't see many of them nowadays, but touring on a bicycle is just one of the most incredible things I've ever imagined, and I can't wait for this summer to do something on such a large scale, such as riding 3,200 miles in 40-something days. Like, it's going to be incredible. So I'll leave you with that. I'll be posting more videos. If you have comments, questions, anything, just drop them in the comment section below. And subscribe. There's going to be plenty more videos to come since it's the start of spring here today. So we'll be putting up a lot more videos here recently. So yeah, stay tuned. Check out what I have next.